Dawn, on a hill that was a castle yesterday. Smoke everywhere. Wet ash, and clove oil sharp off your own blade. Your fist is knotted in a dead stranger's hair, his head, taken clean, lifted for the tally while men chant a name that is finally yours. Your hands are steady. Hold on to this weight at your hip, and this morning is the last time the sword will ever make sense. Now, go back. You are 8, knee-deep in a paddy, mud past the shin, a castle on the far hill you will never be let inside. 2 rice balls a day. The spear by the door is borrowed, always borrowed. Your family is never on a blade. Your mother, Sato, bows to men who don't bow back. You want the one thing a peasant is forbidden. The 2 swords at a samurai's hip. You want to matter. Drums. The levy. You march up to the gate with a borrowed spear, one of 100 Ashigaru. Farm boys handed weapons for a season and shoved into the front rank. Learn the wall you were born under. The sword hunt stripped every peasant's blade by law, and a farmer caught with one hangs. The line between the field and the hip is sealed. You will never cross it by picking up a spear. It has to be handed to you. The spearhead shatters and the world goes to noise, mud, a screaming horse, iron on iron. The man beside you drops with an arrow through his throat, and you live only because he didn't. A samurai comes down off his mount in front of you, and something moves in you before fear can. When it ends, you're holding a head by the hair, and an officer is writing your name in a book. Peasants don't get their names written down. Yours just was. An old retainer named Ichiro lifts 2 swords off a lacquered stand, the long and the short, the daisho, and fixes them at your left hip himself. The weight settles against your thigh, cold, deliberate, the clove, oil sharp in your nose. 30 koku a year, and the right to wear them in the open. You're not a peasant anymore. You crossed the line. The line, it turns out, was the easy part. Ichiro drills you before dawn in a hall that smells of straw mat and steel. Loyalty above your own life. Service to Lord Arima above your own name, above your own sons. He lays an edge against your throat to teach you not to flinch, and your hands stay still. He notices the stillness. It is not praise. The sword is not yours. You are the sword's. A low table. A scroll. 1 flower in the alcove. In this room, the real cutting is done with words over tea. A younger retainer kneels across from you. Kinji, sharp, hungry, counting every rank between you. He pours your cup a breath too slowly. You both smile. Neither of you means it. Here, a friend and a knife look exactly the same. You kneel to Lord Arima's crest and rise a mounted retainer. 500 koku, a horse beneath you. 30 men who move when you point and bleed when you are wrong. The swords are heavier now, heavier with every promotion, as if each rank hangs another stone on the same hip. You hand a spear to a boy up from a paddy like yours, and you remember wanting it that badly. Another castle burns, and now the dying is yours to spend. You send the 30 up a ladder into arrows because the line must hold, and 11 never come down. You take 3 heads. Arima answers with more land, more men, more rice. Kinji takes 4 and makes certain the tally is read aloud. The arithmetic of this life is simple. Other men's bodies become your rank. You have become very good at the arithmetic. A map weighted with stones in a lamplit tent. You are inside the plans now, not just the killing. You choose which village burns to start a siege, which road floods, which of your own men hold ground that cannot be held. A brush moves, 100 lives change column. No blood on your hands tonight, only ink. It is so much easier than a blade, and that is exactly the part that should frighten you. You hold the east gate through a winter siege. Kinji holds the west. Word comes that he let 200 of his own freeze rather than give up a foot of wall, and Arima loves him for it. Now you understand the game above the swords. It is not who fights best. It is who the Lord can least afford to lose. So you make yourself necessary. You make yourself expensive. You stop sleeping. They raise you to Karo, house elder, the Lord's right hand. From the top of the keep, the whole domain lies open beneath you. Rice, roads, roofs, 3,000 koku with your name on a ledger. You give the orders now. And here's the first thing no one warned you about the top. The higher you kneel, the worse the things you will be told to do. The weight at your hip has never been heavier. Tea again, but Arima does not drink. A retainer has failed him, spoken against a war that will bury 1,000 men for nothing. The man must open his own belly to atone, and a Karo must kneel as a second, blade ready, to end the pain with one clean cut. That is the duty. That is the honor. Then Arima says the name of the man who must die, and you have known it since the tea went cold. The empty training hall, dawn on the floor you learn to walk on. Ichiro already kneels on the white mat, his swords set aside, calm the way only he has ever been calm. He asked for you by name to hold the blade. Of course he did. He looks up at the student he made and gives one last instruction, steady, as if it were any other morning. Elbow high, mind empty, make it clean. You owe me that, and nothing after. He nods. The short blade goes in. He makes no sound. Your arms rise. For the first time in your life, not the alley of the front rank, not the sieges, not the edge of your own throat. For the first time, your hands shake. You cut anyway. Clean because you owe him that. The hall goes silent. Something that lived in you is on the floor with him, and it does not get back up. You wipe the clove oil from the steel and rank one step higher. Arima rewards loyalty like yours. More koku, a wider seat, bows from men who used to outrank you. Kenji kneels beside you and keeps his eyes forward while he speaks, low, so only you can hear. You hold your face still. The reward tastes like nothing. Everything tastes like nothing up here. You put a blade to your own teacher to climb one rank. I couldn't have. I'll remember that you could. 10,000 koku. Say it slowly. It is the exact line where a retainer become the lord. A daimyo. Your own domain now, a castle gate that opens for your crest. Farmers who bow to you the way Sato once bowed to men who never bowed back. You made it. The two swords you were handed, you now hand down to a son of your own. And the thing you climbed your whole life to hold turns out to be holding you. From your keep the domain is beautiful, and it is a cage. The Tokugawa piece charges rent, alternate attendance. Every other year you must leave all of this and live in Edo under the Shogun's eye, and your wife and children stay behind there, always hostages on silk cushions. Refuse, and you lose everything. So you don't. In 300 years, no lord ever does. The leash is not a chain. It is your own family, held politely. Edo, the Shogun's hall, gold screens, rows of lords in silk running back farther than you can find the end of. You kneel among them, a great man at home, one face here. The procession that carried you spent a year of your rice to move. You did that to yourself. You paid, out of your own granary, to prove you could be trusted. That is the trick of the whole system. The loyalty is not taken from you. You buy it. Generations climb. And your line now holds 1,000,000 koku, Kaga scale, the largest domain in the realm, a whole province that answers to your name. Hold still for this number. The sword class you bled your way into was never more than 5 people in 100. 5%, ruling the other 95. A country of rice, farmed by people forbidden a blade, to feed the few who carry two. You are the few. You have never been this alone. A retainer of yours speaks against a war you have already decided on. The room turns to you and waits. So you say the words Arima once said over Ichiro. The belly, the second, the clean cut, and you say them without your voice moving. The boy knee-deep in a patty would not know the man on this dais. You have not become a monster. You have become the machine. That is worse and quieter. But 1,000,000 koku of rice is not 1,000,000 koku of money. The road to Edo devours it. The retinue, 2 households, gifts that cannot be refused. Your granaries are full and your coffers are bare. To cover last year's procession, you sent a rider to Osaka, to men you have never had to think about. Merchants, the lowest class in the land, beneath even the farmers. You need them. You have needed them for years and never once said it aloud. A counting house in Osaka, bales to the rafters, an abacus ticking, gold kobans stacked by a man who has never held a sword and never will. He has your seal on paper going back further than you knew existed. He is unfailingly polite. He pours you tea. You, a lord of 1,000,000 koku, sit in a merchant shop and wait to be told what your own rice is worth this year. Above every lord sits the shogun. Above the shogun, on paper, sits all of it. For 1,000,000 koku held directly. 30,000,000 koku, the entire country's yield, moving on a single word through the domains. The most swords, the most rice, the most men who have ever knelt to one house. This is the summit. You spent lifetimes reaching it. And even from here, the rice still has to be carried down to Osaka and sold. The Dojima yard. Understand who actually rules this world. Here, in 1730, merchants trade paper claims on rice that is not grown yet. One of the first futures markets on Earth. The price of every samurai's pay is set in this yard by men with no swords, gambling on next year's harvest. The whole sword class is paid a number these men decide. The broker slides your ledger across the mat and taps it once, gently. Your 2 swords fetch 2 koku as scrap. Your debt to this house is worth 1,000. Tell me which of us carries the other. 1868. The shogun falls, the emperor returns, and the world the swords built is shut like a shop. It is not on a battlefield, but at a desk. Your hereditary stipend, the koku, the whole spine of everything you are, is commuted to government bonds. A clerk slides paper and a brush toward you. 300 years of loyalty, bought out and filed under a case number. Sign here. You are paid off and cut loose, and your hand, God help you, is steady. 1876. A new edict. No swords in public. Not seized. Simply, quietly forbidden, the way a fashion dies. You untie the die show from your left hip for the last time and lay it down. The weight that grew with every rank you ever earned lifts away, and your side goes light. And light is the worst thing it has ever been. A shopkeeper offers to buy the blades for scrap. The oil still smells of clove. 0 koku. By law, the sword is worth nothing now. 1877. One last time the sword rides out. The final revolt. Samurai on a hill above Kagoshima. Blades drawn against the new army. An army of conscripts. Peasants. Farm boys with rifles. The very class forbidden a blade for 300 years, cutting the swordsman down in rows. It is finished in an afternoon. Remember that first head, that first dawn, you were sure the sword made sense? A farm boy with a factory rifle just answered you. It never did. The paddy again. Mud past the shin. A castle on the far hill that no longer holds a lord. A boy of 8 leans on a borrowed spear and looks up at a life he is forbidden to want. The 2 swords he would have climbed toward are gone, outlawed, sold for scrap. The rice is still here. It was always the rice. Then it became paper, and the paper went to a bank in Tokyo you will never see. Your line owns no blade at all now. Your hand, when it rests on the boy's shoulder, is steady. That was never the part that mattered.